The video you're about to see is from the national conference entitled Jail Killer Cops. The conference was 4 hours long, so I've taken the portion in which I am speaking addressing the need for nationwide action against police murders. I think it's important for you to hear the stance being taken in regards to our nationwide demand.
Hopefully she will share with us. Thank you very much, Danette, for being with us, and you're on. Thank you.
Hi, glad to be here. Um, I actually got involved into this fight following the loss of my son, Gregory Chambers, at the age of 19. He lost his life at the hands of police, not being directly fired upon by police. He was an unintended victim of a shooting and got caught in the crossfire. But where he was 1 block away from Lincoln Hospital in the Bronx. And when his friends attempted to carry him to the hospital, it was NYPD who stopped them and interrupted that process. Yesterday, October 9th, was another anniversary. It was the day of his actual passing. So police pulled their guns out on his friends, demanded they put him down, and they're arguing. He's shot, he's hurt. We're taking him to the hospital that was right in front of all of them in clear sight. But police threatened to shoot them if they didn't put my son down. So they put my son down on the curb, put them in a police car. And then when people began to gather, fussing and cussing, arguing, where's the ambulance? The police called for more backup instead. They never called for an ambulance for my son, although they say they did. Long story short, my son bled on the curb across the street from Lincoln Hospital. And according to the medical examiner's report, it said that my son had every probable chance of survival had he gotten the medical treatment that was needed. So a lawsuit was filed in federal court, which took 7 years, with 7 years of adjournments, postponements, because the city kept saying that they didn't want to turn over their investigative file because they were still investigating, trying to find the shooters, until one of their own detectives testified that that was a lie. The case was closed. Nobody was doing anything. And the judge ordered the case to trial. The city appealed it to the appeals court. And for whatever reason, the appeals court ruled in favor of the city and outright dismissed my case. Because my case was 7 years and the attorneys took it on a contingency basis, sure that they would win. After 7 years, they didn't want to spend any more money to pursue it to the Supreme Court. So that was the end of my case. However, during that 7 year period, I marched, I rallied, I met a lot of families, stood in support of them, and paid very close attention to why and how it was that police were consistently getting away with murder. It didn't matter what the situation was. It didn't matter how many witnesses there was. They continually got away with murder. And I came to the conclusion, as a result of all those things and the repeated denials for justice and the understanding and how, the police work hand in hand with the prosecutors, and in fact, how, this issue is embedded in the system. I came to the conclusion that the only way to effectively deal with the issue is to have a nationwide movement that actually calls this government out on its claims of liberty and justice for all. Because as I look, we live in two Americas. It's particularly when it comes to Black people. We have Black people who say, America is not my home, I'm from Africa. And then we have Black people who say, my ancestors bled and fought here, I have every right here, if not more so than white people. So we are divided as a people, so we have a hard time collectively getting together. But there are white Americans who wholeheartedly believe in the claims of America in regards to liberty and justice for all. They're very patriotic and they believe what this government tells them. But their government is not only perpetrating a fraud on Black people, telling lies and propaganda on Black people so that white people can co-sign on our murders. White people themselves are also being lied and deceived to, and turned into pretty much the slave as all other people in this country, not based on their color, but based on their very own existence here in this country, where even their rights are being deprived of, and they're being lied to by their government, and their government is taking their monies and resources and spending it overseas or putting it in their own pockets. So based on all of these things, I decided that nationwide action is what needs to be taken across the board. I believe that the United States needs to be called out on its claims, false claims of liberty and justice for all, because those claims do not, never have pertained to people of color. When we fight and we march for justice, we stand on the laws of the land. We ask for justice based on the laws, but the laws have never been created for us, and the laws never provide justice for us. They're only used to punish us underneath the law, not to give us justice. As a Black man, if I were a Black man, I couldn't even avail myself of the rights of the Second Amendment to bear arms, because Black men in America are murdered based on the imagination of an officer who feels he has a weapon. Okay, let alone the fact that according to the Constitution, he's guaranteed to possess a weapon. They are being murdered based on the imagination. So Black people, that's just one way in which Black people are not privy to the same rights and privileges as all America. And those are some of the things that I want to challenge before the world concerning its claims of liberty and justice for all. Because when you deal with police murders, it's not just police murders you'll deal with. You'll have to deal with the mass incarceration of thousands. I don't understand why people to this day don't believe that the United States is committing the atrocities that they're committing against people of color, and why white people get upset when people of color raise the issue that it is people of color, when white people now are themselves being affected. And they are shocked. They don't understand, because they wholeheartedly believe that those assaults and atrocities are for those people, not for us. And they don't quite know how to handle it. And the truth of the matter is, you've been lied to. We were never all of those things that you were told that we were. You were given pictures to convey that this is who we were. So when you heard of our murders and our wrongful incarcerations, you believed it and you accepted it as that's just the way things go. Now this whole country is divided and getting ready to fall apart, and people are still holding dear to those claims. I'm not mad at them for holding dear to those claims, because they're good claims. They would be effective claims if they were actually enforced. And there's the problem. They're not being enforced. They're only being enforced to punish people, the undesirables of society, while those who are more accepted get to live a better existence here in this country. So those are the things that I want to change, that I want to challenge. I feel that this country, has lost its rights a long time ago to celebrate and talk about liberty and justice for all, or to encourage people in being more patriotic. If you want to see patriotism, you need to look at the youth that's out there in the street that's ready to burn this shit down, because they're fighting based on the rights and the privileges that they believe that this country affords to them. Okay, so don't talk about patriotism and fighting for your country. You got youth in the street who believe those claims, and you never even meant it for them. But because they believe those claims, they're doing whatever it takes. And they will continue to do that. And I'm so glad that the youth have been included into this conversation, because the reality is those are the ones who are going to lead a fight, if there is a fight. The rest of us, the adults, we done went to sleep a long time ago. We done lost it. I listen to people talk, working people, employed people. I was a working people. I worked for the post office 25 years, was a union official for 6 years. I get it, but you've lost connection to what's going on out in the street. That's not your life. That's not your existence. And when those young people tell you how they're being murdered and falsely arrested, you believe the hype. You believe the propaganda. You believe that they deserved it. You want them swept away and out your face because you don't understand that type of existence. They don't either. They didn't sign up for it. They don't want it. And they fighting tooth and nail against it. So really, I suggest that we try and get on the same page as what's going on with these youth out here in the street, because it was this system in this society that coerced or led, particularly people of color, into galvanizing the cities of this country into scooping up your young men and women and throwing them in jail because you had a violence problem in your community. So you call for the police. We need stronger laws against handguns. We need longer sentences. And they came right in and scooped all of them out. Okay, we had years of white racist presidents in office that said, just say no to drugs and sent the drugs into your community. You can't blame people because they have the entrepreneurship and know how to make money wherever there's money to get made. That's what they did. And you can't blame the hype that when they use that to lock up young people in jail when people were still being murdered 24/7 in the community. So if you flooding cops into these communities 24/7 in the name of solving and protecting crime, how come you can't sell drugs, but you could kill people all day long, morning, noon, and night? Don't nobody go to jail for that. If you sell the drugs that they sent there, you go to jail for that. But you could kill people 24/7, ain't nobody even thinking about you. It's game. And I'm saying to you all, to really understand and what's going on, you really need to get with these young people because they live that life. You know, the majority of young people, they didn't really start coming out good until George Floyd, Breonna. They didn't even want to get with no protests, no marching, because they like, that's some BS. Y'all marching and protesting. And if you understood the type of oppression that they live under, they know intuitively that ain't doing nothing. Marching and protest what? They doing it now because they fed up. They're not ready just to march and protest. They ready to burn it down, shut it down. They don't care because you left them with nothing. You know what? People in business, people that got a life, people that got an existence, y'all care about that stuff. But you can't deprive people of an education, of a job, of decent housing, and expect them to give a damn about their environment. It's crap you got them living in. And now you killing them? The majority of the people that's being murdered by police is poor and Black anyway. And now you killing them? Y'all have to stop and look and listen and pay attention because all of this is heading in a direction. Okay. For years, I have begged and pleaded with people to come around this issue, nationwide action, while people were championing the cases in the media, the nationwide, the ones that got all the attention, you know, when there's hundreds of other cases, some worse than the ones that you hear about in the media that ain't getting nothing to even look like. Nobody's having no march or no protest for them. Nobody even knows the names of their murdered. Okay, but it's the same. Okay, so while you running around championing this popular, well-known case, police is still doing what they've been doing. You ain't said nothing. You ain't put a dent in
She's
nothing.
paid. Yeah,
I'm sorry, was that my time? Is that what you're telling me? Hello? Can you hear me? Okay.
yes,
So,
Yes,
you
you
can
can
wrap up your thoughts, please.
okay, so basically, uh, there's a lot of reasons to justify a nationwide demand, and that's what I've been pushing, and that's what I've been hoping that other people would see the need for long before we got to the situation where we are here now in this country.